Seriously, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are blocking the effort by Democrats to subpoena the individual formerly known as Prince Andrew. Now he just goes by Andrew because he was just kicked out of the royal family for his involvement in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Democrats want to depose him. They want to subpoena him and get answers. What other rich and powerful men, Andrew, are you aware of who are involved in this sex trafficking ring? Give all of the names. MAGA Republicans are blocking the Democrats' efforts to subpoena Andrew. So the Democrats made a formal request to Andrew to testify before the House Oversight Committee. Here's a letter from the House Oversight Democrats. They write, "We write to seek your cooperation into the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operations. The committee is seeking to uncover the identities of Epstein's co-conspirators and enablers to understand the full extent of his criminal operations. Well-documented allegations against you, along with your long-standing friendship with Epstein, indicates that you may possess the knowledge of his activities relevant to our investigation. In the interest of justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, we request that you cooperate with the committee's investigation by sitting for a transcribed interview with the committee." It goes on to talk about his friendship with Epstein. It also talks about how Virginia Robert Giuffre made several allegations that you abused her when she was just 17 years old. Now, this is important as well because Giuffre was working at Donald Trump's spa in Mar-a-Lago when she was 17 years old. This is how she was connected to the individual formerly known as Prince Andrew, now Andrew. As Donald Trump says, Epstein stole her as though she was property from Mar-a-Lago, from the spa, and took her to go on to be sex trafficked. And Donald Trump was upset, it seemed, based on what he was saying, that she was just taken, as he described, as though she was his property and belonged to her. So there's a lot of information that Andrew possesses and should be able and willing to share. Also, we've reported over the past week how, based on documents released in a case involving JP Morgan Chase, the SARs, the suspicious activity reports, show that Epstein may have been involved in a $1 billion money laundering scam in connection with the sex trafficking ring, and that it could be linked to Russian bank accounts. That's what's in the documents of JP Morgan Chase and their suspicious activity reports. $1 billion, Russian bank accounts, and lots of other wealthy billionaires and rich people who could be involved in this. That's likely in the files. And we also know that Donald Trump's name appears all over the files. We also know that Donald Trump and Epstein were involved in a real estate transaction that Epstein said that Trump basically stole from him. And this is part of their falling out, where Trump bought this property in West Palm Beach from a guy named Abe Gossman for $40 million, and Trump flipped it to a Russian oligarch within a few years for $95 million with minimal renovations. And Epstein was pissed about this whole transaction, and that led to their falling out. And then in emails between Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein in 2007, they talk about, they believe the feds had talked to Donald Trump, Gossman, about the WPB, the West Palm Beach documents. In any event, we all believe, right? I mean, I don't care what political party you're from. Don't you agree that Andrew should have his deposition taken? Don't we want this subpoena of Andrew, right? But as Aisha Hasni writes, Republicans say not so fast. This is the statement from the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. So James Comer speaking on behalf of Comer, and this is what was ordered by Donald Trump because they all worked together. Democrat ranking member Robert Garcia continues to chase headlines and material for his next TikTok video. Garcia does not speak for the committee, and his letter to Andrew carries no committee authority. As our editor, Ron Filipkowski, writes, our editor-in-chief, he goes, so Democrats on the House Oversight Committee want to investigate the rich and powerful pedos in the Epstein files. Republican pedo protectors want to obstruct that effort at every turn. Now, you'll recall that when Alex Acosta, Trump's former labor secretary, who was the main federal prosecutor in the Southern District of Florida, who did the sweetheart deal with Epstein back in 2007, when Democrats forced Acosta to have his deposition, he was asked, are you aware of the financial crimes that Epstein may have been involved in. Did you investigate that? Acosta's like, I have no knowledge of that. Really? We now know you did have knowledge of it, and it was $1 billion money laundering scheme with Russian bank accounts attached to it. So what the hell is even going on here? Meanwhile, Dave Schuster, reporter, this is what he says. He goes, a few GOP House members, his sources, say they've heard from FBI DOJ contacts that the Epstein files with copies in different agencies are worse than Michael Wolff's description of Epstein photos showing Trump with half-naked teenage girls. Speculation, rumors sweeping through the GOP caucus. This is apparently adding to the expectation that once Representative Grijalva is sworn in and signs the Massey discharge petition, triggering a House vote 7 legislative days later, more than 100 Republicans will vote with all Dems to release the files to get in front of what's coming. Now, that's just what Schuster's saying. But let me just remind you about what Michael Wolff said, because he said it on Legal AF with the MeidasTouch Network. And we're breaking news here all of the time. This is what Wolff claims that he saw with Epstein. This is what Wolff's view is. This is what he told Legal AF on MeidasTouch. Here, play this clip.
At one point, after Trump had been elected, I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing, covering
their mouths.
Yeah, exactly. And pointing, 3 or 4 girls. And those are the ones I specifically remember. And my assumption is that they were in the safe, and I have seen them on other occasions take them out of the safe. And I think it's certainly not unlikely that they were in the safe when the FBI came in after his arrest and took everything from the house, including everything that was in the safe.
Okay. Now you'll recall that when Pam Bondi was subpoenaed, she testified before the Senate. When she was asked this question by Democratic Senator Whitehouse about those photos that you just heard about from Wolff, here's what she said.
Let me ask you something else. There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
I think this is very notable as well. So there's a major special election in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District in early December to replace Congressmember Mark Green's seat. There's a Democratic Congresswoman, Democrat Aftin Ben, running. And then there's a MAGA Republican candidate, Matt Van Epstein. Normally, this is a safe Republican seat, but we all saw what happened with the blue tsunami. So it's maybe not as safe as Republicans would like. But what Republicans want to happen here, many people are saying that they're delaying the swearing in of Adelita Grijalva until they swear in, if Matt Van Epstein wins, so that they could get one more person to try to kill the vote. Once the discharge petition is signed and brought to the House floor, they gain one more member. So people say maybe they're trying to dilute the Democratic vote by waiting until Van Epstein, if Van Epstein wins, then swear them in together, swear in Van Epstein first. That's what some speculate. But here's what Van Epstein says. So this is just to be clear, as the Democrats are referring to this as the PPP, the Pedo Protection Program, the PPP, that MAGA Trump are involved in a pedo protection program. That's what Leader Jeffries is saying. So MAGA Republican Matt Van Epstein, if he wants Trump's endorsement, he's got to be PPP, right? Apparently. So here's what he says. Play this clip.
Do you support the full release of the Epstein files?
So I think the speaker has a great plan. I support the speaker's plan in this. I'm for full transparency. The speaker has empowered the oversight committee with subpoena power, and is taking a deliberate approach so that justice is had, and so that the victims are supported. And Republicans are taking a very deliberate approach here because they want to get it right.
There's some Republicans who want it released. President Trump has said there's nothing to see here. Do you agree there's nothing to see?
Well, I think the speaker and the president have said that they are supportive of full transparency in this, and that's my position as well.
Then should they be released? I guess the full transparency thing, certainly Democrats would say that's not the case. Even some Republicans would say it's not full transparency. So why not just release the files? What is the concern?
Well, I think Republicans are taking that approach. I think the speaker has that plan, and through the oversight committee is doing very deliberate investigative work that's not performative politics, that's actually trying to solve this issue.
Are you concerned that they were tampered with in some way? I guess the deliberative work that's being done by the speaker is trying to do what? I mean, the files are there. Why not just release them?
I think they're taking that deliberate approach with the subpoena power so that they can fully investigate into the situation and hold those accountable that need to be held accountable for the heinous crimes that happen.
You do hope that at some point it will just be released.
I'm for full transparency.
And then our great friends over at Tennessee Holler found Van Epps. I called him Van Epstein. Van Epps. But basically Van Epstein would be a good nickname for Matt Van Epstein files. Anyway, here's Matt Van Epps in the airport as our friends at the Tennessee Holler got in touch with him. Here, play this clip.
Matt, funny running into you here, Matt. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you?
So Afton was on with us yesterday, and she said that Speaker Johnson is waiting for you to get there so you can cancel out Adelita Grijalva's vote on the Epstein files. What do you think about that? Does that sound right to you? Do you think that's Speaker Johnson's plan? Why was it so hard for you to answer the Epstein files question, Matt? Is that why they put $2 million into your race so that you would go there and help cover up the Epstein files? This is a simple question. You said you're for transparency. Why not just be strong about that, Matt? Why do you have to hem and haw so much? Do you think that's the plan, Matt, to get you up there to cancel out Adelita Grijalva? The silence thing doesn't work very well. It just makes you look bad. That's what you're going to learn if you get up there. It's better just to give me the line that they gave you. Whatever line they gave you, you should use that line, Matt, right now. This is the time to do it. Being silent isn't a good look. It doesn't work. It just makes you look guilty. I'm trying to help you. Just say the line. Whatever they gave you to say, just say it. Matt, the Epstein files, even your own people care about the Epstein files. All right, it's great talking to you, Matt, as always.
By the way, hat tip to Democratic Congresswoman Ansari, who was standing in front of Leader Speaker of the House Johnson's office. Here's her sign. Mike Johnson is starving families and gutting healthcare to cover up the Epstein files. Change my mind. Really loved to see her out there. It was great. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, swearing Adelita Grijalva, like, just release the files. Play this clip.
I wonder how you feel about someone like Adelita Grijalva, who, I mean, you say you can't work for your district because the House is out of session. She won her election 6 weeks ago and still has not been sworn in.
She should be sworn in.
Point blank.
Yep.
Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene again saying, release the files. Let's play it for you.
But what do you say to people, perhaps people in your own district, who feel like his administration isn't being transparent on this issue, and it brings a lot of questions up for them?
I don't really have to explain it. It's pretty much everyone across the board agrees, release the Epstein files. So this is something that I get calls into my office almost every day about. We track all the calls that come into my office, and I think that's extremely important, whether they come from the district or out of district, and it's all over the country. People just want this information released.
And finally, here's what Leader Jeffries has to say. Let's play it.
The Trump administration and Mike Johnson are running a pedophile protection program. That's what they've been doing. And that's the reason why they refused to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. For weeks now, she was elected in late September decisively. And Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn in because she'll become the 218th vote on an up or down piece of legislation that will require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And yet week after week after week have gone by, and Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva is unable to serve 800,000 plus people in the state of Arizona, all because of the pedophile protection program being run by Mike Johnson and House Republicans at the direction of their boss, Donald J. Trump.
Everybody, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. We appreciate you. New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.